So the new parliament building is to be dedicated to the nation in under 48 hours. The scepter is to be installed next to the speaker's table. The Congress party says facts have been manufactured by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Joining me on the show, Sonal Mansingh, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Sravanti is the spokesperson of the Congress Party, and Aparajita Sarangi, again Lok Sabha Member of Parliament and spokesperson of the BJP. Sravanti Palwa, I want to begin by asking you, ma'am, you heard the pontiff of the Adhinam today who said that the Sengol was given to independent India's first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in 1947 by the Adhinam, and Rajaji had asked how would this transfer of power be symbolized. The Sengol was first given to Lord Mountbatten, then handed over to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru after being purified. These were his words. Ma'am, are the holy seers also a part of some WhatsApp university?
The holy seers have very clearly stated that the Adhinam had asked them, the Adhinam has said they have asked for this spectre to be made. So we are not denying that the spectre was given, neither are we saying that the Adhinam was not a part of it. But nowhere, the facts that we are seeing, nowhere has it been, because in fact, if you go and take a look at what the biography of Rajgopalachari ji was written by his grandson, Mr. Rajmohan Gandhi, in which he very clearly mentions there has been no documented evidence anywhere. Similarly, one of the, if you would see the documented evidence that has been given to you, most of it comes from WhatsApp University. You do not have anything that says that this was created for the transfer of power from one person to the other, or from one rule to the other. So this is very clear. We are not denying that Adhinam has asked for it. The Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of India, has received many gifts from different parts of the country when India was gaining independence. We totally agree that this was a part of those, but it does not signify anything as is being propagated right now.
Okay. Aparajita Sarangi, respond. Jairam Ramesh also says there is no documented evidence whatsoever of Lord Mountbatten, Rajaji and Pandit Nehru describing the scepter as the symbol of transfer of power from the British to India. He says all claims to this effect are plain and simple bogus, according to him, wholly and completely manufactured in the minds of a few and dispersed into WhatsApp.
A very good evening. It is said, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. When I hear these people talking loud, creating such a noise, when such a big thing is happening day after tomorrow, in fact, the only thing the only expression that comes to my mind is in search of relevance. See, all these people, the Congress and also the other 18 opposition parties who have joined hands together to oppose this entire event, which is of historic importance, explain that they are against Modi ji. It is not something against anything else, it is against Modi ji, and they are pathologically hating Modi, and this is very much, I think we are aware of it. See, the fact remains that there is a big thing which is happening day after tomorrow, a historic moment, and everybody should be part of this historic moment. As far as Sengol is concerned, it symbolizes transfer of power, and this is mentioned in the 5th century Chola tradition and culture books. So this is coming from there, and this also finds mention in the historical books Mani, Mekhalai and Tirukural. So I think to doubt the records of Adhinam is to doubt the historical tradition and culture of India. So all these people will make a noise. I will just take you back to the day when the Rajpath had been named as Kartavya Path. That day also the same kind of noise had been made by these people. Remember when Sri Subhas Chandra Bose's statue had been put on the Kartavya Path. That time also they had made similar noise.
I'll
They
come
had
to that.
also made
I'll come
noise
to
when
I'll come
we
to that
had
in
the
just a moment. But
surgical
for
strike.
the
They had
moment,
asked for proof.
okay, I want to stay on the scepter for a moment, on the Sengol for the moment, because Shravanti ji, how does the Congress respond to Union Home Minister saying that Congress is heaping another shameful insult? The Thiruvaduthurai Adhinam, it's a holy Shaivite mud. It itself spoke of one, the importance of the Sengol at the time of India's freedom, and the question that is being asked is, according to the Congress, is the Adhinam's history also bogus?
Nowhere has the Congress contradicted what Adhinam is saying. They have created the spectre. We respect the fact, and probably this has been bought in because there has been documentary evidence wherein they said this spectre was brought to Delhi. And unlike what small documentaries or videos that are being released, there is a very well documented photograph that was given in a newspaper like Hindu, which clearly states that the pontiffs from those seer mutts have come through the train, reached Delhi, and probably they have given it to Nehru, which we accept. This is, as we have been constantly holding on, there have been many gifts that were given to the Prime Minister at that point of time. This is one of it, but it does not signify any transfer of power.
So was it given as a walking stick? Is that what you're saying? It was given as a golden walking stick.
Whether
Can I
it was
come
a
in,
walking
please?
stick, whether it was a walking stick or not is something that I do not, because I'm sure it was not Mr. Nehru who wrote it there saying that this is my walking stick. So this has been done sometime down the lane when it has been put in the museum. But when it comes to culture and heritage, India's culture and heritage has been safely protected for so many years without having any discrimination and inter-religious tussles and strifes as is being propagated right now. So we have always respected everyone, and we continue to hold.
Aparajita Sarangi wants to come in. Aparajita Sarangi, the Congress says, you know, these are facts that have been manufactured to meet political goals. I'll once again quote Jairam Ramesh saying that the scepter is now being used by the Prime Minister and, in inverted commas, his drum beaters for their political ends in Tamil Nadu. According to Jairam Ramesh, this is typical of this brigade that embroiders facts to suit their twisted objectives.
See, the Congress people led by Jairam Ramesh must back their contention with documentary evidence. Now, as far as Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, as far as Prime Minister Modi and his entire government is concerned, we are having evidence with us. We are having proof with us. Please allow me 30 seconds. I will read out from Adhinam records. Adhinam records state, Sadai Yappa Swami gave the Sengol to Mountbatten and got it back from him and sprinkled holy water on it, invoked the divine name and gave to Pandit Nehru, blessing him to assume power. Right? These lines are quoted from Adhinam records. So I think these people will create a noise because, you know, this is something which is great, which is historic, and they just cannot want India, the present India, to be connected with the ancient culture and traditions. These people are anti-Hindu, anti-Shaivite culture. They are also doubting. They are also doubting the Mutt traditions and culture, right? So I think they are trying to put a question mark on the policy and intention of Prime Minister Modi and his government.
I'll come to a big allegation that you made, ma'am, that they're anti-Hindu in just a moment.
They have been doing this always.
I'll come to it in just a moment.
Absolutely.
But before that, Shravanti Palwai, I want to come back to the point where you know, the BJP spokesperson and leader Aparajita Sarangi quotes the exact statement of the Mutt. And the Mutt says that when they got this scepter to Delhi, they handed it over to Lord Mountbatten. It's there in the records. Then they took it back from Lord Mountbatten, sprinkled holy water, cleansed it, and gave it to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to symbolize transfer of power. This is Mutt record.
Yes, we are not. The Mutt record clearly states that they have given it. We are not denying that the Mutt has made the scepter. Neither
Given
are we
it to
saying that
Lord
it is not.
Mountbatten is what they say, ma'am. In as
See,
many words. I'd like you to... Okay, go on, make your point.
I very clearly understand what you're trying to tell me. And let me also make one more statement here. They have stated they have followed a procedure which they wanted to do. They have their pontiffs or whoever the seers have said that this is how it is going to be done. They have followed the procedure. But does it signify any change of or transfer of power is something that is left to our own interpretation. Here, this is the interpretation that is being made by BJP here, saying that it was a transfer of power. Let me just tell you, it can also be the blessing that has been given to the new independent India for progress and development.
Okay.
Why should it be a transfer of power that you're talking about?
I want you to listen in. I want you to listen in to Thiruvadurai Adhinam's pontiff, and since you understand, I want you to listen in to him and then respond. Let's play out to what the pontiff said of Thiruvadurai Adhinam.
அங்கே விமானம் மூலமாக டெல்லிக்கு சென்றார்கள். அங்கே மவுண்ட் பேட்டன் பிரபு அவர்களிடத்திலே தம்பரான் சுவாமிகள் அந்த செங்கோலை கொடுக்க, அந்த செங்கோல் மீண்டும் மவுண்ட் பேட்டன் பிரபு அவர்கள் தம்பரான் சுவாமிகளிடம் ஒப்படைத்து இந்த ஆட்சி பொறுப்பை நேருஜி அவர்களிடம் கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்ல, அந்த ஊர்வலமாக அந்த செங்கோலை எடுத்துக்கொண்டு பலமாக வந்து அந்த செங்கோலை நமது பாரத பிரதமர் ஜவஹர்லால் அவர்களுக்கு திருவாவடுதுறை ஆதீனத்து தம்பரான் மூலமாக வழங்கப்பட்டது என்பதை நாம் எல்லாம் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். இது மகிழ்ச்சியான ஒரு செய்தி. இன்று 75 ஆண்டுகளாக இந்த அலகாபாத்தில் அந்த அருங்காட்சியகத்தில் ஒரு கண்ணாடி பெட்டிக்குள்ளே இருந்த அந்த செங்கோலை இன்று பாரத பிரதமர் நமது மோடி அவர்கள் இன்று பாராளுமன்றம் திறக்கப்பட உள்ளது வருகிற 28ஆம் தேதி அன்று அந்த செங்கோலை பாரத பிரதமர் அவர்கள் வாங்கி அந்த செங்கோலை நமது அந்த சபாநாயகரை இருக்கையிலே வைக்கப்பட்டு இருக்கிறார்கள் என்பதெல்லாம் நாம் கேள்விப்பட்டு மகிழ்ச்சி அடைந்தோம். அதுபோல நமக்கெல்லாம் டெல்லியிலிருந்து அழைப்பு வந்திருந்தது. இந்த அழைப்பு மூலமாக நாளைக்கு நாம் எல்லாம் டெல்லி செல்கிறோம்.
Sravanti Palwai, does the Congress party believe the holy seer, the pontiff of Thiruvadurai Adhinam?
One question that I would want to ask you. Have we ever contradicted the fact that the pontiffs of Adhinam have handed it over either to Lord Mountbatten or to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru?
No, but isn't that the point, that there is no evidence that it was given to Lord Mountbatten?
We read out from Adhinam records.
That is what the Adhinam record is saying. But then, is there any recorded, documented evidence that you have from the Indian government? Number one. Number two is, we are not denying that it is being given to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Neither are we denying that the spectrum exists. But what we are talking about is, does the spectre here indicate the transfer of power? Because yes, the Chola dynasty that you're talking about, the kingdom, yes, they do have this ritual. Neither are we talking about kingdoms and kings here. We are talking about a country that had become independent. And we are talking about a country that was in abject or absolute doldrums when the independence was given. And we have received, there is recorded evidence that many gifts have been received from across India and even outside India at the time of independence. We are not denying it, neither are we saying that the spectre does not exist at all.
No, the point was the Congress party. Let me get Aparajita Sarangi. Are you changing the goalpost? Are you changing the goalpost once again? Because initially what was being said was, where is the evidence that it was first given to Mountbatten and cleansed and given to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru? But let me bring in Aparajita Sarangi. Let me bring in Aparajita Sarangi. Let me bring in Aparajita Sarangi.
This is being given by the pontiffs.
To Mountbatten was being doubted. Here the seer says they have evidence. Aparajita Sarangi, Congress says there is no historical evidence. BJP's distorians, I'm quoting Jairam Ramesh saying, BJP's distorians stand exposed with maximum claims and minimum evidence. No pictures, no text of the Sengol being handed over to Lord Mountbatten, then being purified and then being handed to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Aparajita Sarabji.
Congress people are devoid of content and arguments. Now they are contradicting themselves everywhere. Every spokesperson of the Congress is talking differently on different channels of television today. Now the fact remains that Sengol symbolizes transfer of power. This is explained, as I mentioned earlier, in our historical books Mani Mekhalai and Tirukural. Adhinam records also mention, Adhinam records have been quoted by me and I think everyone has read that. Now to question the wisdom of the seers, to question what's written in those historical books is, I think, not right, in the sense that you are actually putting a question mark on our historical traditions and culture and wisdom. So I think this is very unfortunate on part of the Congress, which is considered to be the grand old party. We expected more of intelligence and more of maturity from these people. See, to question the policy and intention of Prime Minister Modi has become a habit with them, and that's why I call them habitual offenders.
No, but that's a grave allegation that you leveled, that the Congress party is anti-Hindu. Why would you say that? How is the Congress anti-Hindu?
Yes. See, this Sengol, this actually dates back to many centuries ago. And you know, I talked of the Chola kingdom, 5th century. And that point of time also, this Sengol was used when the transfer of power took place in the royal kingdom. One king gave it to the other. So I think this has to be understood in the right perspective. And this is all related to the Hindu culture and tradition. Now when a seer is talking to us, when a pontiff is talking to us, now these people are raising questions there too. Now what kind of statements, what kind of arguments, are these convincing arguments? I said earlier, I reiterate my position, I want to quickly
get, Sonal Mansingh, Member of Parliament, is also joining us on the broadcast, but I quickly want to get Sravanti ji to quickly respond to the BJP's allegation that the Congress party is anti-Hindu when it questions the scepter being installed in Parliament, or the fact that even though the seer is saying it was given to Mountbatten and they have documentary evidence, not accepting that.
See, we have never said that it was not given to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. We do not know. There is no documented evidence as far as Indian history is concerned
again.
That it was. No, I'm not contradicting myself. I stand by what I said. And the second thing is, it is very easy that BJP has been constantly using the words anti-Hindu, anti-Hindu, anti-Hindu. Where is Congress anti-Hindu? India is a country where, let's also remember, it is all people cutting across all religions and castes and creeds who have participated together in getting India the freedom. And today, giving every religion, everyone space and respect that they deserve does not mean that you become anti-Hindu. The Congress party has, by word, upheld the principles of the Constitution here. The Constitution does not signify...
I want to cut across to Sonal Mansingh, who joins us on the broadcast. Ma'am, many thanks for joining us. Today, I want to ask you, not as a member of Parliament, but as an accomplished Odissi and Bharatnatyam dancer. Ma'am, is our history, our culture and our tradition, are they also not passed orally from one generation to another? Is that not how our civilizational knowledge and history has been passed for centuries?
We call them Shruti, that is what is heard, and Smruti, that means memory. So through these two, these are the words, expressions that have been used ever since the Vedic times. And the Vedas initially were imprinted on the minds of the buttocks of the students, the disciples, and they had to memorize what they heard. So that is the kind of tradition that came down to us along with the latter day, centuries ago, of course, millennia ago, when things began to be written. As you said, dancer, let's not say Odissi in Bharatanatyam, but as an Indian classical dancer or Indian dancer. In my time, we were not allowed to write. I have learnt in the Guru Shishya Parampara, and I remember till today almost 200, 250 songs, shloks, bhajans, padas, kirtans, choreographies, and also so many other subhashits and so many things. So this is of course an ongoing tradition in the Sanatana India, the perennial, the Shashvat, the eternal India.
What do you then make of this
so
controversy that there is no documentation, that the scepter or the Sengol was handed over to Lord Mountbatten, taken, cleansed and then handed over to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru? The Congress says there is no documentation. This is WhatsApp University knowledge.
I think I've seen in the past 3-4 days, ever since the Sengol word has become so conspicuous and symbolic, let's say, I have seen the photographs of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru accepting the Sengol, also the Ganga Jal Chidakna and some puja. I wish I knew. I would have produced those photos from some newspapers and even the television videos. I think the historians, the people can do their research.
No, we have those pictures playing out on television right now, ma'am.
All this cannot be said. So there is documentation. There is documentation. It's a matter of research by these people who are saying there is no documentation.
Okay. What would you say to those who say that in a democracy, should there be a Raj Dand in the temple of democracy? After all, there are no kings today, and some argue, is this an overt move towards a Hindu Rashtra?
I'm sorry, I just chuckle because it's like Bal ki khal utarna. Raj Dand or Dharma Dand applies to every government, every ruler, ruling party. Even in democracy there is a government of a particular coalition or of a particular party. It is all about governance, the just governance, Nishtha, Satya, Vachan. So these are Nyay, some of these words which are applicable all the time through generations to every government. So that these are the part of the what shall I say, sutra of governance. And governance, whether it be monarchy, whether democracy, governance is there. That's the key word, how you rule a country or how you deal with a country.
Okay. And had the history of this Sengol, had the history of this Sengol not been looked at so closely now, would future generations have looked at that holy scepter perhaps as a golden walking stick presented to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and kept in the museum of Anand Bhavan? And would that have been grave injustice to our history, to our culture and to our traditions?
I agree with you, Gauravji, I agree with you. It would have been grave injustice. By the way, it was not given to Pandit Nehru as an individual. It was handed over to Pandit Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India, independent India. So it was a government property and it should have been rightly brought to the Parliament. Instead, it was taken away to Anand Bhavan, their personal property in Prayagraj, now Allahabad, and then later on shifted to the museum. So I think finally in the 75th year of independence, Azadi ka Amrit Kaal shuru hua hai, in that the Rajadand, the Dharmadand, the Sengol has found its rightful place in the Lok Sabha, right above the Speaker. And I am looking forward so much, day after tomorrow, to go there and bow my head and offer my namaskars.
I will let that be the last word on this part of the show. Sonal Mansingh ji, as always, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. Also, Aparajita Sarangi ji and Savanti ji for joining me here on this News Track special.